Father, in Jesus' name, we just give you thanks and praise that your plan for us is to increase, that your plan for us is to have an expected end, a wonderful life, and that more would come to us, that we would be people that you can entrust more into. And I pray that this night blesses everyone who listens in Jesus' name. Amen. So the third room of success is the team. Sit behind me. We have a blueprint of what we're going to hit tonight, and we're going to jump right in because we have a lot to cover, and it's going to be packed with useful information, things you can start using immediately. So if you're going to do anything great in this life, you likely will not do it alone. I've said this before, and I will continue to say it. Behind any prominent celebrity or figure, you will find a team of people that they were able to marshal together, harness the gifts and talents of those that came together to do something great. Because no man is an island, and no man or woman will ever do anything truly great on their own. Jesus Christ, God in the flesh, came, and though he had the power and authority to accomplish everything by himself, he did not do it alone. He did not take off on his mission alone. He called to him helpers, disciples, people with other gifts, people that he could empower with his message, with his organization, that they could do more together. And undoubtedly, he had a succession plan, knowing that he didn't want his mission to stop when he left. He wanted a team that would continue to carry it out to the end of time. And the same will be if you decide that you want to do anything great. One day, I hope and pray that you find your name on a billboard. But undoubtedly, if that ever happens, it will happen through the work that was the product of teamwork, as a team came together. And so this is a critical concept to putting teams together to have massive results and to bring increase in your life. I don't want you to check out if you think this isn't for you. You might be someone that is on a team or feels like you're in a massive corporate structure and you're at the bottom of the ladder and no one reports to you. This is still for you. This concept is still for you, because the more you understand about how teams get put together, the more value you can add, and you will continue to position yourself to move up into roles of leadership when you understand how leadership works. Some of the best leaders are the best followers, and the best followers often become the best leaders, because either way, the best followers and the best leaders understand teamwork and they understand leadership. So we're going to understand how we can put teams together using these spiritual principles. And when you do it this way, you will see massive results, and things will be possible for you that wouldn't be possible otherwise. So let's dive right in. So the first step in the third room of success, the team, the first step to putting your team together is you've got to take inventory of yourself. You have to know, what is your gift? What is your gift? What's your talents? What is your calling? What are you good at? What do you do the best with the least amount of effort? Not what's your job title, okay? Not what you see on your resume, but your gift, the thing that you take everywhere you go, the lens in which you see the world, the way that you help, whether you're volunteering, whether you're just helping around the house, or whether you go professionally. What is that superpower that you have? You have to start and understand that. You cannot form a team until you understand who you fully are and what your gift is. And so just the quick recap from last week, when we understand gift, we're not talking about your vocation, we're talking about your calling. Okay, we're talking about a part of your purpose. We're talking about your superpower. I'm not even talking about your skills and abilities, like I'm good with Excel, or I write nice emails, or I make a great cherry pie. Now, undoubtedly, your skills and abilities work well with your gift, and your gift will leverage those skills and abilities, but your gift is something much more intimate than that. In the conversation we had after the class last week, we talked about how it's almost hard to describe. And the reality is, because it's a spiritual thing that is so inherent to us, it transcends words. Words, and especially the English language, just really pale in comparison to truth. And they struggle to accurately define and explain truth in spiritual things. But your gift is, even when you can't explain it, your gift is. And to build a correct team, you have to know what it is. Now, when you take the time to really know what your gift is, then you need to take the time to understand what it isn't. Knowing what your gift isn't is maybe as important as knowing what it is. Now, when you find out what it isn't, you don't identify it, so what it isn't, so you can get better at all those things that you're not good at. I'm not suggesting that you try to improve your weaknesses. Undoubtedly, there's times in your journey where you're going to have to do things you don't like and things you're not good at for a season. But it's only until someone can join you that is good at those things. So you must know what it isn't. Because until you know what it isn't, there won't be room for someone who has what you're missing. So that's the second step. So first, you know what your gift is, and you know what it isn't. So if I'm drawing a big pie of all the gifts on my team, chances are, no matter how strong your gift really is, it's probably a very small wedge of this bigger pie. Don't assume that your gift is the end all be all to your business or organization. Pride will limit your ability to grow when you think that you have everything you need inside of yourself. Now, God will supply your need, and he will empower you in ways that you didn't expect. But most of the time that God empowers us, it's to be a body, as the Bible says, the body of Christ, fit together. Paul writes in the Bible that the different body parts should not want to be the other, because they are so needed, being excellent in that thing that they were created to do. So your gift is likely a small piece of that pie, which means what it isn't is the majority of the rest. Even if you're the guy at the top, the woman at the top, with the most important part in the vision, you're going to need the rest of this pie filled in with other people's gifts. Okay? So the second step, when you know what it is and you know what it isn't, is you have to make room for the gifts that you don't have. You have to make room for the gifts that you don't have. You need, in the way that you do that is you start preparing for the missing person or people to join you. Now, you're starting a project, or you're starting an organization or a ministry or a business. There's going to be things that have to get done that you're not good at, and it'll be all hands on deck for a period of time. But everything you do that's outside of your gift is, you need to understand you are preparing for someone to join you. Because what did we talk about in the vacuum? Remember the vacuum. In the second room of success, the vacuum, we said that you have to make room for the good that you want. You have to make room for what you need. Understand that we make room for things by putting things in order. We make room for things by creating a need, and we make room for things with momentum. Well, we'll apply that same technique when we make room for missing people on our team. So we need to put things in order. We need to put the chairs at the table, metaphorically speaking. We need to create a need, which means there is something in the organization that needs to get done by someone who has more to offer. And then we create momentum. So we can't not do the thing that we need them to do. You can't just say, well, when I'll do this part of my business when they show up. You can't do that, even though you're not good at it. You have to start momentum, but you're only trying to get the ball rolling enough so that that person can join you. Okay. So you're preparing for the people that you're missing. You have to then give them, make room for them to join you. So you can't sit in someone else's seat, right? So if you imagine that your team or organization is a table with chairs around it, this table with chairs around it, okay, you can't sit in someone else's seat. You got to sit in your seat, and you got to make it very obvious to yourself and anyone who would join you that there is room at that table. The way that you close the door and you fill up the seat, really the way this works is with pride. Okay. When pride gets in the way and tries to get you to puff up and make others think that you're good at things that you're not, then you've got the seat full. It's full with your ego. It's full of your pride. But when you're humble about what you're really good at, and you're transparent and honest with those around you about what you're not, then you're actually inviting someone who has what you need. See, if you're telling the world and you're telling those around you, I'm good at everything, you know what they hear? Well, they don't need any help. They got to figure it out. But see, inside, if you're going to do anything great, you need help from other people. So you need other people to know, yes, you're super strong in your gift. You're confident in what you're doing. You're someone worthy to join the team, but you need to know you value other skill sets. And there is room for them to join you, and you need what they have to offer, right? So you can't sit in someone else's seat. So when you make room for someone and they begin to show up, you have to give them room to offer their gift, and understand this is going to likely look different than you expect. See, if you had their gift, you wouldn't need them, but you don't have their gift. So you're going to have to give them room to offer their gift. And you're going to have to be a little loose and flexible to what it looks like as they offer it. Now, even if you are the leader of your organization, you have the right to give parameters there. But if you want it to expand, you're going to have to hold it loosely and give everyone else on the team the ability to offer more. You don't want to stifle their offering. Okay. If you have a white knuckle grip on everything that your organization does, and everything must look exactly the way you want it, and you're not giving any creative license to your other team members, then you're not making room for their gift. Okay. And you're actually not allowing them to give you the fullness of what they have to offer. You're probably missing out on the best part. So you have to make room for people to join you, and you've got to make room for them to offer what they have. All right. So there's a great business book called The Good to Great. Okay. And if you are thinking about starting an organization, you're an entrepreneur, you're maybe part of the leadership team that's desiring to grow or to really do something great, pick this up. It's an absolute classic. And in this book, they studied, they did a long-term study on organizations that were pretty good, and they made changes in their business that made them great. And one of the principles that they found, and that was in common with all these different major organizations and corporations they studied, was the way that they invited people to their team. And in this book, they call it having the bus. Your organization is the bus, and you have to get the people on the bus and then get them in the right seat. But the first thing that you do is you got to get them on the bus. You make room by creating seats for people to join you. And then from there, you continue to work with them until they find the right long-term seat. So let me give you a little behind the scenes look at some of the organizations that I've created and the way that we've hired people. And even if you're not a hiring manager, I think this will help you open your eyes on how you need to look for people to join you, whether it's you want to start a podcast, you want to start a business, you want to grow your ministry. This criteria of bringing team members on has been super effective and powerful for us to create really strong teams. And we have made room for some incredibly talented people who have been allowed to offer their gift, and they've taken our business to another level. They've done things for us we could not do for ourselves. So you want to write these 4 things down. It's a hierarchy of recruiting. It's a hierarchy of hiring to bring new people on. So the first thing that you have to do, we're going to make like kind of a triangle. The base of this hierarchy. The absolute first thing when you're making room for someone new, no matter what talk they talk or how good they look like on paper, you need to evaluate people you bring on your team in this way. The first thing is character. Okay. You cannot work with poor character. No matter how strong their gift is, their gift really can only be as strong and help your organization to the capacity that they have character to offer. So people who are super talented but with poor character will not be assets. They will be liabilities. They will not help you. So first and foremost, before you look at anything else, is do they have strong character? One, high morals and values. Do they share your principles? And two, will their character fit in the culture that you're trying to create? They have to be a character fit in their principles, but also in their culture. Okay. Second thing that you look for is their gift. The second thing after their character is their gift, not their former job titles, not where they came from, not the industries they worked in. What is their gift? What is their gift? Okay. That's going to be hard for some people because the working world, corporate world, normally doesn't hire people based on their gift. They look at resumes and experience. I'm telling you, the secret sauce is in the gift. You can create a small organization that does amazing things and multiplies fast when you do it with the right people on the bus and you hire based on gift. Don't hire by a resume, hire on gift. What is their gift? And how does it complement you as the leader, or how does it complement the rest of the people that are already on the team? Those two things have to go first. You can't do steps 3 and 4 until you do the first two. Okay. Third is going to be position experience. Okay. Position experience. So let's say you are hiring someone for a leadership position, a project manager position. And like for me, we've hired people. I have a real estate development and construction company. Okay. So we've hired people into our organization that had the tremendous character. They had the gifts and they had experience as project managers, but they were project managers in different industries. Now, on paper, for most people, they're not a fit. They have no construction or real estate development experience. They're not a fit. But we actually start with character first, gift, and then position experience, because industry knowledge can be taught. Position can actually be taught. Character and gift really can't quick enough. But if they have position experience, most of the time, positions in different industries can translate into other industries, right? So someone from the corporate world may not have any nonprofit experience, but they have character, they have the right character, they have the right gift, and they've done that role in a previous industry. Oftentimes you can teach them the missing pieces. The last thing that you're hiring for, the last thing that you're evaluating for is industry. Okay. Now, if you can build the whole pyramid, slam dunk, right? If you can build the whole pyramid, slam dunk. We've hired people that hit every single one. And if you can find those people, it's incredible what they'll be able to do for your organization. And most of the time, they might be available for positions of leadership that someone who doesn't have all of them might have. But we've hired people that had the first 3 without the fourth, who got in there, learned the industry stuff super fast, and have been promoted throughout the organization because they had such a strong foundation. It was easy to add on this stuff at the end. So it's really important. You may have a team that needs to be volunteer for a while. You still need to use this criteria. You may be recruiting volunteers just to help your nonprofit. You still need to recruit and hire and attract these people in this criteria. It's character first, it's gift second, it's position experience third, and it's industry knowledge and experience fourth. Okay. So we've made room for our people, and we did that. We took the time to understand what's my gift. We took the time to understand what my gift isn't. We looked at it in the mirror, and transparently, we were humble enough to handle our business with humility, doing the things that maybe we're not good at, but just to create momentum in the business, but with humility, presenting to the world and those around us what your strengths are, but what you're looking for and how you need that person. And when you do that, God will begin to supply your need, because guess what our God is so good at? He is great at supplying the need, but we have to make room for his supply to come in. We've got to open the door to receive the good things that he wants. And we do that by doing these things. All right. So if you're watching this, undoubtedly, you're probably a Christian. You believe that God is up to your good. He's got great plans for you. He's probably given you a dream. He's given you a vision for more. And most people you talk to that have a big dream, they see an organization and they see themselves in a position of leadership, right? Now, up until this point, we've been talking about some pretty natural things, taking inventory of who we are and the people we need. But now let's talk a little bit more about our role and God's role and how they work together. Because if you can begin to understand your role as a leader, and you get really good at that, and you allow God to do his role as your God and provider, the one who loves you, who wants to orchestrate your dream more than you do, then you'll begin to see things get put together with exactness, and they'll come together quick. So I'm going to erase this. I hope you drew it. It's a pyramid, super important. All right. So your role as a leader. This is super important. And if you're not a leader yet, but you have aspirations of a leader, then you need to understand these principles, because if you do really well where you're at, you will be offered a leadership position, but you'll only be able to continue to climb positions of leadership as you're able to lead other people. Okay. There's plenty of people who get really good at a skill, but haven't taken the time to increase their leadership ability. And they're going to hit a ceiling very quickly, because promotions come to people who are able to lead others and are able to lead more of the organization. Okay. So promotions are a function of your leadership ability. So listen up closely. So what's the leader's role in the growth? What's your leader's role in the expansion? So the first thing the leader needs to do, it's really a two-step process. The first thing is the leader needs to set up the organization with structure for new people to join. The leader has to create structure for new people. That's partly how you bring new seats to the table. You add a seat at the table when you created structure for a new position. Okay. New people can't help a new organization if there's no structure or no system to use. Okay. If there's no structure to operate in. All right. The problem that a lot of leaders have, and the mistake they make, is most leaders think they need people because they're overwhelmed, they're overworked, growth begins to happen. Oftentimes they're really actually not ready for the people that they're trying to hire. Okay. They think they need people, but in the beginning, they actually need structure. Okay. They need to create a framework for a person to join you. So in your mind, the visual you want to think, when I think I need people, I need to create their seat first. Okay. I need to pull a chair up to the table. I need to create a chair for them to sit in, which is their position, which is the structure and the system I need them to use. Because if they show up without a structure and a system, then they will have to ask you what to do every moment of the day. And if you have got to do their work for them, there's no need for them. But you don't want to do their work for them. So the only way they're going to be able to do anything for you is there has to be a role. There has to be structure. There has to be a system. Okay. So as you want to bring people on, you have to create a system for them to use. You have to put a chair at the table. So oftentimes when these new people are hired without the system, the company's wasting their money. You as a new business owner, you might be wasting your money. You know, you may have seen before a small company begins to grow, they hire people, and then 6-8 months later they flounder, and some of those people get laid off again. Because what they do, they brought people on that didn't have structure to succeed. Okay. And they were a liability and a drain on the expenses because they weren't able to produce more or expand the business. And then the business ran out of money because it wasn't generating more income, because they didn't create a system for those people to operate inside of. So you have to set up the organizational structure for new people to join. Okay. So you do that. Great. You created the role. You created the structure. You got your org chart. You've mapped out the role. You've laid out the expectations. They understand what success looks like. They're empowered with all the tools that they need to succeed. Okay. Second thing that you're going to have to do as leader, because a lot of leaders, when they've taken all this time to do this, and normally by doing this, they've delayed hiring the people they were desperate to bring on. And so there's a season of time of creating a new role where as a leader, you're going to feel overworked and underpaid because you're creating a system hoping to make room for someone else. Now, here's the thing. When you do, you're going to make room for those people. Guaranteed, if you will take the time to pull up a chair, to create the role, to create the structure, to create the system, by law, when you create a vacuum, what happens? It's going to be filled. Nature abhors a vacuum. The way God supplies the need is you make room for his supply. So if you will do those things, the person you need will show up. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. You make room for that new person by doing all those things. That new person will be there. There is someone who wants that job. You probably won't even have to put an ad out for it. You'll get a call, you'll get an introduction. They'll show up in the most random ways, but it's actually not random, it's planned. Your God is that good, and he supplies for you. But your job as a leader is not over, because you'll want to just hand it off. Good, I did my job. The new person showed up. Have at it. I'm going to go. I've been overworked and I got other things that I've been put on the back burner I want to go do. But guess what? Your job's not over. Your job as a leader now is you're going to have to support those new people until they acclimate to that new role. Because no matter how well you did laying out that role, learning new things takes time. And most positions you create have multiple steps. And as we talked about before, a human really only learns one thing at a time well. So they're going to try to learn a lot, but they're going to gravitate to one, do it really well, struggle with the rest. And once they do the one thing really well, they can do a second thing. Two things really well, they can do a third thing. Those other things are going to struggle while they're learning the first few. Don't give up on them. Don't give up on them. You need to be there to support them. Okay. You need to stick with them. You need to maybe help out. You need to maybe get on the call. You maybe need to get your hands on stuff that you're paying them to do because you're supporting them acclimating. So I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to tell on myself a mistake that I made. I was eager to get someone into a role for maybe about a year and a half. And I finally got the role really well laid out. And then guess what? The person showed up. Perfect fit for the role. I handed the role off. I assumed this person was going to be off to the races. Strong character, strong gifts, great fit in the culture, wanted to be there. And he struggled for a while. And it wasn't because he wasn't talented. He struggled because I didn't give him enough support. Okay. I'd given him what I thought was enough. Undoubtedly, it wasn't. The role, it needed more definition, but it also needed me to be there with him as he learned things, learned who the vendors are, learned who the rest of the team is, learn who's responsible for what. So I had to dive back in and get my hands on there with him and do some of the things I pay him to do and be with him. And as I've done that, it's been amazing how now this guy is flourishing and he's handling things without me, and it is noticed and it is felt, but it took me supporting him as a leader. Now, that's not saying anything bad about him. It's telling on myself. And so you as a leader, when you bring someone on, you've got to stay with them. You got to support them while they acclimate to that new position, and you'll begin to feel them take more and more and more responsibility, and it'll be less and less and less until they're trustworthy, and then they almost don't need you anymore. Okay, so you create the structure for the new person comes, you stay with them as they acclimate, and then you slowly taper off your involvement until they can handle it without you. Those are the two major factors when you're creating room for someone else. Now I'm going to give you a couple extra thoughts on how this practically plays out. So in a growth strategy, you're trying to get new people. I've seen this mistake made quite a bit with organizations who either weren't able to grow or brought on people who they end up having to fire. And what you've got to know is, first thing you have to understand is the personality of the people that you're looking for. There's two major personalities in the workforce when it comes to systems. There's people who can build a system, and there's people who execute a system. Okay, let me repeat that. The people who can build your system are not the same people who will execute it well. Okay, so you may be in a place in your organization's life cycle, whether it's a new organization or you're creating a new department or you're trying to bring on people to help you. You have to really understand personalities, because the person who finds joy and has a gift to build systems, that's what turns their crank. They're most satisfied by creating new structures. They're not satisfied long-term operating those structures. Okay. They will get burnt out really quick if they have to stick around and use the system that they built, because where they find the most joy is building systems. Now you find a person like that, if they're a right character fit, then you hang on to them, because that kind of person is going to grow your organization into a whole nother place. Even if you're a system builder, you get another system builder involved, it's amazing what kind of organization you can grow and how quick. And what you need to do with that person is you need to keep giving them new systems to build. Okay. Set up this structure. Hey, this is awesome. Help them get it implemented, get someone else in to take over that system, and then go get them to build another missing system in the business. And you as a leader want to be identifying new systems for them to build. And every time they build one, then you're looking for a long-term executor who will step in, take it over, and run it for the long term. Now, if you are one of those system builders and you're hired into a company, undoubtedly you're going to quickly identify missing systems. Without being asked, you're going to create systems. It's going to make the business better. And what you need to know about yourself is you're going to be most fulfilled building systems. And if you'll see, the jobs where you weren't successful is probably the jobs where you ran out of systems to build and they expect you to stay long term. You need to make it very clear to the people you're working with, hey, I love to build these systems. I'm really good at it. I struggle long term when I don't have systems to build. I get bored and I flounder. I'm best if you continue to give me things to build. I will help build this organization and create missing pieces. And that's where I'm going to find fulfillment. Okay. So you got the builder. The second person is the executor or the implementer. Now, the person who's an executor normally is not a system builder. They're not. They're the person who wants to give them something that works and let them hammer it and let them run that thing. So organizations need both. You need people who are going to create the systems you need, and you're going to need people that can just hammer on that system, right? Now, the problem I've seen organizations make is they've identified someone who's killing it in another business. Okay, their numbers are incredible. And they're like, man, you're killing it for them. I want to hire you to come do that same thing for me. And they're like, awesome, new opportunity, pay raise, growing business. Cool, right? But if you have an organization that's missing the system that they need, see, the executor doesn't understand normally how much they rely on that system because they just get results. But I've seen organizations missing systems hire executors in to come in when they needed a builder, and the executor flounder because their brain isn't wired that way. They don't create systems, they execute. And so really what happens is they're spinning their wheels because there's nothing to execute on. And I've seen even people afraid to tell their boss that they don't have what they need because they were brought in to be the superstar. But the reality was they don't have anything to do because they're missing the missing pieces. And if you're an executor, you may even not even recognize what you're missing. Okay. Now I want you to think about this right now. Am I a builder or am I an executor? Okay. So if you're an executor, you're someone who gets really good at something and can drive results in something long-term. Okay. And you're likely a rock star where you're at. Okay. You're the kind of person that gets raises and you might get promotions because you can just hammer where you are, right? And you're the kind of person that gets overwhelmed if there's missing pieces. The builder, when you see missing pieces, you're like, oh yes, project, something to build. I love this, right? You get excited when you see missing pieces, as long as you're given the authority to create it. Executors, you're overwhelmed when there's missing pieces, right? So which are you? If you're an executor, you need to know this, because chances are if you're a rock star, you could be offered a position by a company that's not ready for you. You need, when they're offering you the position and they want to know all about your numbers and they're thinking about, oh my gosh, you could do so great here. And you're thinking, wow, it's going to be a pay raise. You got to take the time to look, what systems do you have and what systems are you missing? Because no matter what the pay raise is, if you step into a role that doesn't have what you need, you're not going to be able to produce the results that you're used to, and it won't end well. So be honest. I'm missing some systems here. I'd love to join you, but what I'm going to need some tools to use. And I think you're missing those tools. Okay. Builders, be honest when you're hired in to do an executor role, because even if it comes with a pay raise and you like the company, if you'll get bored really quick. And so part of that conversation is I would love to start with you and I'll help build this thing. But I've got to know that when we grow, I get to grow with you and I get to grow into building more systems for you. Okay. All right. So if you're a leader and you know you need some people, then here's a 4-step process into bringing on people when you're experiencing growth. And this is super important. This goes along with knowing when to bring the right people on. And as much as you have to know what type of people that you need, you got to bring them on at the right time. And if you don't, you can create a real mess and maybe even bankrupt your company or end your project before it starts. So there's 4 steps to this. This is super important, okay? You need to write these down. All right, so step number 1, when you're needing to grow, okay, you're experiencing some overwhelm, you know you need some more. The first thing that you've got to do is you got to organize what you have. Before you do anything else, you need to get your office in order. You need to get your organization in order. Things have got to be organized and easy to find. Okay. They've got to be clean and orderly. Number 1, before you do anything else, get everything filed away, get everything in its place, put the, label the folders correctly, get things where they need to be, make it so that anyone new could come in and find what they need. So you organize first before you can do anything else. Okay. The second thing that you do is you've got to make the most of what you already have. I'm going to call this, you have to optimize. Okay. You need to optimize what you already have. If you have a software and you're thinking, I need a bigger software, start by optimizing the one you have. A lot of software has more capabilities than people are using because they haven't taken the time to learn the fullness of what they have. Okay. Optimize the things that you already have in place. Optimize the people and optimize the system. Look at your systems and see, can I make some improvements to what I already have? Okay, because see, implementing new process and software takes a lot more time than you can imagine. So you want to start by optimizing what you have. Okay. These 2 things will likely lead to some more growth and give you some breathing room just by doing these 2 things. Now, the third thing you want to do after you've organized, after you've optimized, is when you're going to do some system changing, and often that's software. Okay. It's going to cost money. Don't spend the money until you've organized and optimized. Organizing and optimizing will likely increase your revenue. Okay, will bring money to you, and it will likely give you the excess money you need to buy the new system and software. Okay, but these things, the new systems and software, is going to take time and money. And even if you find the perfect software and you can afford it, implementing new software into an organization takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to set it up, and it takes a lot of time to implement it. It takes a lot of time to get people trained on it. A lot. We've implemented some super powerful software in our organization, and we've done it rather quickly, but we've been working on it for a year and almost 2 years now. We get a lot out of it, but it just hasn't been me. It's been organization wide. We set aside time in our week to implement this software. Okay. But it's amazing how much cheaper software is than people, because a lot of mistakes young organizations make is when they feel overwhelmed, they don't want to do these steps because they're overwhelmed. They have to do this after hours. They got to do this after they get home from working all day. They got to do this on the nights and the weekends. But this stuff is cheap compared to payroll. This is super cheap compared to hiring someone. Okay. So the last thing you do is you add people. Okay. But here's the thing we talked about before, you don't bring people on unless you have a structure and a system for them to use, for them to make the most of. You do these things, by the time you're ready to hire, holy moly, you've got things in place. You've created an environment of success. You've put fertile soil down. At this point, you're going to be able to bring on some really high caliber people who are going to see an organized structure, a team of momentum that they want to join, and you're going to be giving them all the tools they need to succeed, so that when you got to shell out the big bucks for those people, you're going to get the most out of them, and you'll get a return that's multiples of what it costs if you do it in this order, right? So first you organize what you got first. Then you optimize the systems and processes that you already have, no matter how small they are, optimize them. Then you then you start creating new systems, and you invest in software. And you've done all those things, you're ready to hire. Okay. So that is your leader's role in the growth of your organization. These are the things that you do to pull seats up to the table. If you do these things, you have made room for people. And I can guarantee you, when you start to do this, people are going to show up. You might be an employee who's not going to get a pay raise when someone new joins, but you'll benefit if you do this work, even if you're not asked to, because you're going to make room on the team for people to come and take things off your plate that maybe you don't have time to do. They're going to make these people that show up with gifts that you don't have, they're going to allow you to move fully into your gift. And then what's going to happen for you? When you use your gift more, you're going to have greater success than you ever have. Oftentimes, you got a fraction of success because a lot of your job only lets you use your gift as a part of the time. So if you can make room for a team member to join your team and take some of those things off your plate, even if you don't get an immediate pay raise, they're likely going to take from you the things that you're not good at, and you're going to spend more time operating in your gift. And if you spend more time operating a gift, you're going to start to be known. You're going to start to be noticed. You're going to start to get a reputation of someone who can get things done. And they're going to start making room for you. Same as for organizations that need more people. You might be a solopreneur. And if you've been a solopreneur for very long, then you'll realize how hard that really is. That's a lot of work on your own. And it's a lot of work for someone who's only got one gift who needs 10. So you got to begin to do these things. And if you'll do this, though, if you'll do this in the order that I just taught you, you're going to make room for people to show up. And these are powerful people that will take your organization to the next level. Now, here's the other thing. If you do these things, the people that are going to show up are going to be high quality and high caliber. You don't want to bring people on to your team who are only going to just free up a little bit of your time. You want to attract people to your team who are going to make it bigger, who are going to help you multiply it. Look for multipliers. When you're thinking in terms of gifts and superpowers, you're looking for multiplier type people. And if you do these things, you're going to make room for multiplier type people. Multiplier type people are looking for opportunities where they get to really do something big, where they are given latitude and room to offer the fullness of who they are, but they need to be given a place where they're well supported to offer that. All right. So that's your role. Now, let's not forget, we want to really take this to another level. We're going to let God in on this deal. Because you let the provider in on this deal, and you're going to see growth that you couldn't get on your own. Because like the Bible says, Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians, I plant the seed, Apollos waters, but it's God who brings the increase. So we're talking about planting seeds and watering. And if you can plant those seeds and water it, like we talked here, you plant the seeds by creating the structure and bringing the people in, you water them by supporting them. Watch the increase that God begins to bring. So what's God's role in this deal, right? So God's part, for the sake of today's conversation, is really twofold. The first thing we have to know that God's role is, he's going to form your next steps and he's going to direct them. Proverbs 16:9 says, a man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps. Okay, so you're going to make the plan And undoubtedly, if you're honest with yourself and in tune with what God's plan is for your life, you're going to discern his plan from inside of you. And it's going to feel really personal, and you're going to be connected to it because it'll be that dream that he put on your heart. So you're going to agree with that plan that's planted deep down in your spirit, and he's going to begin to direct and order the steps for that to happen, right? So that's his job. Your job is to know which way you're going and to make the most of what he's given you to do, right? And so part of that is putting other seats at the table, and he's going to direct your steps for growth. The second thing you have to understand is Psalm 37:23, which says the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. So you don't have to worry. God's going to order your steps, okay? You do your part, and you do the most in your part, and he is going to order those steps, and he's going to order them perfectly to put you in the path of the right people and the right resources. So God forms and directs the steps. Other thing that he does so well, you got to get this, is he provides what is needed. Okay. Philippians 4:19 says, but my God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. God will supply your need. You make room and he'll supply. Make room for people, he'll supply the people. Okay. Create a need for money and he'll supply the money. Create a need for software and he'll show you which software it is. Okay. Create room and capacity to help more clients, and he'll provide the clients. You don't have to worry about where the supply is going to come from. You just got to make room to receive it, and you got to create a need for him to fill. Okay. So he's going to form and direct your steps, and he's going to provide your need. So let's end on this. All right. Let's apply this. How does this work? Okay. How's it work? How does this play out? I'm going to give you a blueprint of how this plays out. Super simple. You put these concepts together I've given you, you're going to see your organizations expand. You're going to see increase come to the things that you're doing. And it might be a slow build into a steep gain, because these laws of increase are true and they happen by law. So how's it work? So most organizations, to bring on people, you need money. But you got to understand, people need money, but money needs people. Okay. To bring on people, you're going to need money, but the reality is you don't need the money until you have the people, and you're not going to be able to get the money until you have the people. So people need money, and money needs people. Okay. Well, that's great. What do we do with it? Well, here's what you do. Okay. Step by step, 4-step process. Okay. Take the principles I just taught you, we just laid out in this class, and apply them in these orders. You're going to bring them together in these steps. All right. First thing you got to do, before the money, okay, you need to make room for the right people. You need to make room for the right people. Okay. You might think, well, these right people need money. There's creative ways to make room for the right people. There really is. There's creative ways to get them involved. We've had great success bringing people on a slow basis, finding creative ways to get their income needs met as we made room for them to offer on nights, on weekends. And as they offered, things expanded. So you bring on the right people. Okay. The second thing that happens is the people. If you bring on the right people, these new people are going to create greater capacity. They're going to create capacity for more that you can't create by yourself. Okay. So you bring on the right people. When the right people show up, you're going to create capacity. So when you create capacity, what are we saying? You're going to create a vacuum. You're going to create a void. You're going to create room for the more. So when you bring on the right people and you start to create capacity, then by law, what happens? More comes. Increase. That's what happens. Increase. See, most people's businesses aren't going anywhere because they say, well, I can't bring on the right people until I have all the money. their salary, if I add it all up, it's $500,000. So I can't start anything until somebody will give me $500,000 so I can guarantee the salaries of all the people I need. Hey, I know that you see an organization filled with lots of people, but you got to start with you got to start with a little, create capacity. More comes, more money, more people. More money, more people, more money, more people. The people create room for more money. They create room for more customers. They create room for you to make a greater impact. You've got to find ways to get creative to make room for them. Some organizations find success. They identify the right people and they give them an equity share. Hey, I can't pay you right now, but I'll make you a part owner. Can't pay you right now, but I'll give you a percentage of the profits. See, there's creative ways to make room for people. There might be some things that you're used to giving a vendor to do. You're paying someone else, some outside company to do. Say, well, listen, how about this? You do some of the things I normally pay them, and now that pays a little bit of your salary. I can pay you a little bit of salary to be in a leadership role, and I'll fill the rest of your time with some chores that I would normally pay someone else, and lump those things together, and they kind of create a full-time salary. But just having the person on your team, they begin to create capacity, so more customers come and more money comes, and then there's more money for them to be in full leadership, and you go back to the vendors. And then when you do that, when increase comes, what do? You repeat. Once you begin to increase, what do? Create more room for more people to join. Those more people create more room. Increase comes. Create room again for more people. Those people create more capacity. They create a vacuum by law. Increase comes. Increase comes. You can afford to bring on more people who create more capacity, who bring more increase, who give you the money to bring on more people, who create greater capacity for you to bring increase. This is how that cycle builds, and it builds with momentum and power. And every time you churn that thing through, it's stronger, and there's more money brought, and it's stronger, and it's stronger, and it's stronger. So I'm going to have the show notes. If you're watching this by recording, I have these show notes in a PDF. They'll be in the description of this video. Download them, take some notes. Use these blueprints. I've laid this out in a specific step-by-step order, and I've lived it and I've experienced it. And this is so exciting, because it's not exciting just because you know what to do. It's exciting because this thing that we're talking about tonight makes room for people to come. And some of the most satisfying things you can do in the world is accomplish a goal with someone else, is to make new friends, is to go through a journey with other people, is to work hand in hand with people that have gifts and talents that you don't, and you help each other, and they help you do things you can't do, and you help them do things they can't do. And through that effort, increase comes. And this is so satisfying, because your life will increase, your influence will increase, your money will increase, but your satisfaction of building a team and building an organization increases as well. So the third room of success is your team. So I pray that this has blessed you and that you'll benefit from this. If you have questions, hit me up in the chats, hit me up on in the comments. If you're on YouTube, you can hit me up on TikTok and Instagram. I'm Blake.increase on TikTok, and it's Blake J. Anderson on Instagram, his Facebook page. Let's apply these. Let me know how I can help you. God bless you. We're going to see you next week. If you're on the Zoom.